The text from my phone was simple enough. Flight canceled due to severe weather. All passengers being rebooked for tomorrow. I should have been annoyed, but instead I felt a surge of excitement. Getting home early meant surprising Caitlin and our son Emery with an impromptu movie night. I'm Ishmael, and until that moment, I thought I had it all figured out. 8 years of marriage, a beautiful home in a friendly neighborhood, and a wife who still made my heart skip when she smiled. Funny how life can flip upside down in the space of a heartbeat. The Uber dropped me off a house down from ours since I wanted to walk the rest of the way and enjoy the spring evening. That's when I heard it. Caitlin's laughter floating over our back fence. Not her usual laugh, but that specific one she saves for when she's had a few drinks. The one that makes her sound younger, more carefree. "You're terrible," she giggled. A man's voice responded, too low for me to make out the words. I crept closer, staying hidden behind the large oak tree that marks the corner of our property. Through the gaps in the fence, I could see them sitting on our patio furniture. Caitlin and Dorian, our next-door neighbor. The sight of them together wasn't unusual. We often had drinks with neighbors, but something felt off. That's when I spotted the bottle on the table between them. My grandfather's whiskey. The one he'd given me before he passed, telling me to save it for a truly special occasion. Caitlin and I had agreed to open it on our upcoming anniversary. "He'll never figure it out," Dorian said, leaning forward. "You worry too much, Kate." I know. Caitlin twirled her hair, a nervous habit I knew well. But sometimes I feel guilty. Ishmael's been so good to me. My stomach clenched. I wanted to burst through the gate right then, to demand answers, to scream, to break something, but I stayed frozen, watching. "Good to you?" Dorian scoffed. "Good enough to leave you alone for days while he jets off to his meetings? Good enough to miss half of Emery's soccer games?" "That's not fair," Caitlin protested weakly. "He works hard for us." "And I work hard too," Dorian said, his voice dropping to that tone that made my skin crawl. "At making you happy." He reached across the table, taking her hand. She didn't pull away. Instead, she smiled. That soft, intimate smile I thought belonged only to me. "Where is Emery?" I heard myself whisper, though nobody could hear me. As if answering my question, Caitlin said, "We should wrap this up soon. Mary will be dropping Emery back from soccer practice in an hour." "Plenty of time," Dorian murmured, standing up and moving to her side of the table. My grandfather's whiskey sloshed in his glass as he set it down. I should have stopped it there. Should have revealed myself. Should have confronted them. But something deeper, colder, took hold of me. I watched as Dorian leaned down, as Caitlin tilted her face up to meet his, as they kissed like they'd done it 100 times before. Maybe they had. I backed away silently, my mind already racing ahead. 8 years of marriage, countless moments of trust, all shattered by what I'd just witnessed. But I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing me break. No, this required something more calculated, more precise. My phone buzzed again. Probably the airline with my new flight details. But I was already home, wasn't I? Home to a truth I never wanted to find, and a decision that would change everything. I walked around to the front of the house, pulled out my keys, and took a deep breath. Time to put on the performance of my life. "Daddy!" Emery crashed into me the moment I opened the door, his soccer uniform still muddy from practice. "You're home early." I lifted him up, breathing in the familiar scent of grass and childhood. "Surprise! My flight got canceled." Over his shoulder, I caught Mary's knowing smile as she gathered her things to leave. "Thanks for watching him," I called out to my mother-in-law. She waved it off with characteristic warmth. "Anytime, dear. Caitlin's in the back, I think." "Oh, I know," I said, keeping my voice light. "I'll go say hi in a minute." As if on cue, Caitlin breezed in through the back door, her cheeks still flushed. She froze for a split second when she saw me, but recovered quickly. "Honey, what happened to your flight?" "Weather issues." I set Emery down. Hey, buddy, why don't you go get cleaned up for dinner? Once Emery thundered upstairs, Caitlin moved to kiss me. I turned slightly, making it land on my cheek instead of my lips. If she noticed, she didn't show it. I hope you don't mind, she said, gesturing to the back patio. But Dorian stopped by for a quick drink. Work stuff, you know? No problem at all. I smiled, watching her face carefully. Did you use the good whiskey? She paled slightly. Oh, I hope that was okay. Dorian mentioned wanting to try it, and it's fine. I cut her off. I'm going to grab a shower, clear my head after the airport mess. Upstairs, I waited until I heard the shower running in Emery's bathroom before making my move. Caitlin's phone sat charging on our bedroom dresser. The notification light blinked mockingly. 3 new messages from Dorian. Tonight was perfect. Next time, we'll make it longer. Delete these messages. My hand shook as I took pictures of the screen with my own phone. In her gallery, hidden in a folder labeled Old Photos, I found dozens more. Selfies of them together in places I didn't recognize. Intimate shots that turned my stomach. Date stamps going back months. Dad, Emery called from his bathroom. Can you help me with this knot? Coming, buddy. I quickly replaced the phone exactly as I'd found it. Dinner was torture. Caitlin chatted about her day, carefully editing out certain parts while Emery regaled us with tales from soccer practice. I nodded at all the right moments, laughed at all the right jokes, but inside I was burning. You seem quiet, Caitlin said later as we cleaned up. Everything okay? Just tired. I dried a plate, watching her rinse another. Hey, where did you put the whiskey bottle? Oh, back in your office cabinet. I checked after she went upstairs to tuck Emery in. The bottle sat in its usual spot, significantly emptier than before. But what caught my eye was the small box pushed behind it. Our wedding album. I pulled it out and several loose photos slipped free. More evidence, more secrets, more lies. My phone buzzed, a text from Steve next door. Saw your car earlier, missed you at poker night. Everything good? I stared at the message for a long moment before replying. Actually, no. Can we talk tomorrow? Of course. Lunch at Murphy's? Perfect. Upstairs, I could hear Caitlin reading Emery his bedtime story. Her voice rose and fell with the familiar rhythm of Goodnight Moon. Just like always. But nothing was like always anymore. Nothing would ever be like always again. I slipped the damning photos into my briefcase, then headed upstairs to kiss my son goodnight. Tomorrow, I'd start planning. Tomorrow, I'd figure out exactly how to handle this. But tonight, I just needed to survive without letting the rage and hurt show on my face. Sweet dreams, baby, I heard Caitlin say to Emery. Sweet dreams indeed. Murphy's was quiet for lunch hour. Steve sat across from me, his burger untouched as he flipped through the photos on my phone. Jesus Christ, he muttered, shaking his head. How long have you known? 3 days. I took a sip of water, wishing it was something stronger. Found out when my flight got canceled. And you haven't confronted them? Not yet. I pulled up the neighborhood Facebook group on my phone. Look at this. Steve leaned forward. The latest post was from Caitlin announcing our annual neighborhood BBQ next weekend. Everyone's invited, she'd written. Time to celebrate summer with good friends and great memories. You're not seriously thinking of... I am. I met his eyes. And I need your help. Before Steve could respond, Jayla slid into our booth. Sorry I'm late, she said, then paused, noticing the tension. What's wrong? Steve looked at me. I nodded and he passed her my phone. Oh my God, she whispered, scrolling through the evidence. That bastard, both of them. She reached across the table, squeezing my hand. How's Emery handling it? He doesn't know. Nobody does, except you two now. The BBQ, Steve said to Jayla. He wants to do it at the BBQ. Jayla's eyes widened. That's... Actually perfect. Everyone will be there, including Mary and... Exactly. I pulled out my laptop, opening a folder labeled BBQ Slideshow. Caitlin asked me to put together a presentation of neighborhood memories. You know, the usual feel-good stuff. And you're going to add the other photos, Jayla finished. Ishmael, that's brutal, I suggested. Brilliant, she corrected. The diner's door chimed. Dorian walked in with some woman from his office. He spotted us and waved, starting to head over. Act natural, I muttered. Hey, neighbor. Dorian's smile was perfect practiced. Planning the big BBQ? You know it. I matched his tone. Wouldn't be summer without it. Need any help setting up? I could come over early. I bet you could, I thought. Thanks, but Steve's got me covered. Well, offer stands. He glanced at his companion. Better grab our table. See you around. After he left, Jayla made a disgusted sound. The nerve of that man. I saw them yesterday, Steve added quietly. In his backyard. They thought nobody could see from the upstairs windows, but... My fork clattered against the plate. What time? Around 2? Caitlin brought over some mail that got mixed up, supposedly. I pulled out my phone, checking my text history. There it was. Caitlin at 1:47 p.m. Running errands. Might be a bit late for dinner. Keep watching, I said. Document everything. Times, dates, any interactions you see. Already am, Steve replied. Got some photos of my own from the past week. They're not even trying to be subtle anymore. Jayla was typing on her phone. The BBQ post is blowing up. Everyone's coming. Mary commented that she's bringing her famous potato salad. Perfect. I closed my laptop. I need one more favor from both of you. They leaned in. The day of the BBQ, I need you to make sure everyone stays until the slideshow, no matter what. Count on it, Jayla said firmly. And Emery? Steve asked. Mary's taking him to the movies that afternoon. He doesn't need to see this. As we left Murphy's, I spotted Dorian's car still in the parking lot. Through the window, I could see him laughing with his lunch date, just like he'd laughed with my wife in our backyard. Soon, I thought. Soon they'd both learn what it feels like when the laughter stops. You sure about this? Steve asked one last time. I watched Dorian through the window, my voice cold. Never been more sure of anything in my life. The projector's all set up, I told Caitlin, adjusting the screen in our backyard. Should work perfectly for the slideshow. She wrapped her arms around me from behind. You're the best. I can't wait to see what you put together. I wanted to shake her off, to scream about how I knew everything. Instead, I turned and kissed her forehead. It'll be memorable, that's for sure. The doorbell rang. Caitlin pulled away. That must be Dorian. He's helping with the marinades for tomorrow. Of course he was. I busied myself with the projector cables while they worked in the kitchen. Their voices drifted through the open window. Pass me the garlic, Caitlin said. Only if you give me a taste first, Dorian replied. The sound of playful laughter, then silence. I didn't need to look to know what was happening. My phone buzzed. A text from Jayla. Just saw Dorian's car. Need backup? No, let them dig their grave deeper. I walked into the kitchen, making sure my footsteps were loud. They sprang apart, Caitlin suddenly very interested in chopping vegetables. Smells great in here, I said cheerfully. Dorian, want to help me test the sound system? He wiped his hands on a towel. Sure thing, neighbor. Outside, I handed him a beer. Thanks for all the help lately. Really appreciate you being there for Caitlin when I'm traveling. Guilt flickered across his face, quickly replaced by that practiced smile. That's what neighbors are for, right? Right. I took a long pull from my beer. You know, my grandfather gave me some advice once about trust. Dorian shifted uncomfortably. Oh, yeah? Yeah, said trust is like his whiskey. Takes years to age properly, but can be destroyed in a single moment. Sounds like a wise man, Dorian mumbled. He was. I pointed to the projector screen. Speaking of memories, want a preview of the slideshow? Before he could answer, my phone rang. Steve's name flashed on the screen. Sorry, gotta take this. I stepped away, leaving Dorian staring at the blank screen. Perfect timing, I told Steve. Thought you might need an interruption. Jayla's watching from her window. Says they've been awful cozy in there. I know. I glanced back at the kitchen. But tomorrow makes it all worth it. After hanging up, I found Caitlin and Dorian had moved to the patio table. A fresh bottle of wine sat between them. Mind if I join? I asked. Actually, Caitlin said, Dorian was just leaving. Early meeting tomorrow. Right. Dorian stood quickly. Thanks for the beer, Ishmael. See you both tomorrow? Wouldn't miss it, I assured him. Later that night, after Caitlin fell asleep, I slipped downstairs to finalize the slideshow. The first half was exactly what everyone expected. Neighborhood picnics, holiday parties, kids playing in sprinklers. Then came the other folder. Photos from Steve and Jayla, screenshots of texts, the damning evidence I'd collected. Each image felt like a knife twisting in my gut, but I forced myself to arrange them perfectly. My grandfather's words echoed in my head. Trust, once broken, can never be repaired. But justice? That's something you can build with your own hands. I saved the final version and emailed a backup to Steve, just in case. Then I noticed a new email from Dorian to Caitlin, sent just hours ago. Can't wait for tomorrow. Meet me in the garage before guests arrive. Need to give you something special. I forwarded it to my evidence folder, then deleted it from Caitlin's inbox. Let them have their moment. It would make the fall that much harder. Upstairs, Caitlin stirred as I got back into bed. Everything okay? She murmured sleepily. Perfect, I whispered. Just perfect. The BBQ was in full swing by 4 o'clock. Kids splashed in the pool while adults clustered around the grill, drinking beer and trading neighborhood gossip. I watched it all from behind my sunglasses, timing each moment. The burgers are amazing, Mary gushed, squeezing my arm. You and Caitlin always throw the best parties. Speaking of Caitlin, I said casually, have you seen her? I think she ran to the garage for more ice. Mary lowered her voice. Though I saw Dorian heading that way too. Those two have gotten awfully close lately. If only she knew. Daddy! Emery called from the pool. Watch this! I smiled and waved as he performed an underwater handstand. Steve appeared beside me, beer in hand. Everything ready? He muttered. Almost, just waiting for... The garage door opened. Caitlin emerged first, carrying ice bags. Dorian followed 30 seconds later, straightening his shirt. Their timing wasn't subtle anymore. Time check, Jayla announced loudly. Sunset's in an hour. Should we do the slideshow soon? Caitlin brightened. Yes, everyone, gather around. Ishmael's put together something special. The crowd migrated toward the projection screen. I noticed Dorian slip something into Caitlin's hand. A small envelope, before taking his place near the back. Before we start, I said, standing in front of everyone, I want to thank you all for coming. Community means everything to us. Trust, friendship, loyalty. These aren't just words. They're promises we make to each other. Caitlin beamed at me. God, she was good at pretending. Mary, I continued, would you mind helping me with the laptop? You've known us longest, after all. Of course, dear. She made her way forward as I pulled up the first folder. The show began normally enough. Pictures of block parties, Christmas celebrations, 4th of July fireworks. Everyone oohed and awed at the memories. Oh, look, someone called out. There's Emery's first bike ride. And remember that Halloween when all the power went out? I watched Caitlin's face as she laughed at each image. Beside her, Dorian kept checking his phone, probably wondering when he could slip away. This next section, I announced, is particularly special. It's about hidden moments, the ones we think nobody sees. Jayla squeezed my shoulder as I clicked to the next folder. The first new image flashed up. Caitlin and Dorian kissing in his backyard, timestamp clear in the corner. Then another, them leaving a hotel together. Screenshots of their messages. The damning email about meeting in the garage. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mary's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God. Caitlin jumped up. Ishmael, stop this right now. Why? I asked calmly. Isn't this what you wanted? To share our memories? Dorian was already backing away, but Steve and two other neighbors blocked his path. How could you? Mary turned on Caitlin, tears in her eyes. After everything Ishmael's done for you? It's not what it looks like, Caitlin protested weakly. I clicked to the final image. Them together just an hour ago in the garage, caught by the security camera I'd installed last week. Really? I pulled out the envelope I'd seen Dorian pass her. Then what's this? She lunged for it, but I was faster. Inside were plane tickets, a weekend getaway planned for next month. I can explain, she whispered. No need. I handed the envelope to Mary. I think the pictures explain everything. The crowd had gone silent, all eyes on us. In the distance, I heard Emery laugh, still playing in the pool, blissfully unaware. Now, I said, reaching for my grandfather's whiskey bottle. Who's ready for a toast? The whiskey bottle caught the setting sun as I held it up. My grandfather saved this for 30 years, I announced to the stunned crowd. Said some moments deserve special recognition. Ishmael, please, Caitlin whispered, tears streaming down her face. Not like this. Not like what? I turned to face her. Not in public? Not where everyone can see? Funny, you didn't mind being public with Dorian when you thought no one was watching. Dorian finally found his voice. Look, man, we can talk about this privately. Like you talked privately in my garage 20 minutes ago? I poured 2 glasses of whiskey. Or privately in the Hampton Inn last Tuesday? Room 418, wasn't it? Someone in the crowd muttered, Jesus Christ. Here. I extended the glasses to them. Drink up. You both seem to enjoy sharing my grandfather's whiskey. Neither moved to take them. No? I set the glasses down. Then let me make a toast anyway. I raised the bottle. To secrets exposed, to trust betrayed, to the moments we think no one sees. That's enough! Dorian stepped forward, but Steve and 2 other neighbors moved with him. Oh, I'm just getting started. I clicked to the next slide. Here's a fun one. Dorian's credit card statements. Interesting how many dinner charges match up with nights Caitlin told me she was working late. Mary stood up, her voice shaking. Caitlin, how could you do this to him? To Emery? At the mention of our son's name, Caitlin crumpled into a chair. Where is Emery? Safe, I said coldly. At the movies with friends. Unlike you, I actually care about protecting him. Finnegan, our resident gossip, was already typing furiously on his phone. By morning, everyone in town would know. You planned this whole thing, Dorian accused, finally understanding. The BBQ, the slideshow, careful planning runs in my family. I smiled without warmth. Like saving whiskey for special occasions. Jayla stepped forward. I think you both should leave. This is my house, Caitlin protested. Is it? I pulled out another envelope. Because these divorce papers say differently. My lawyer drew them up yesterday. Full custody of Emery, by the way. Given the evidence of your afternoon activities, he thinks it's a slam dunk. The crowd parted as Mary approached her daughter. Come on, you're staying with us tonight. She turned to me. I'm so sorry, Ishmael. We had no idea. None of us did, Steve added. Except we did. We all saw something, didn't we? We just didn't want to believe it. Dorian tried one last time. You've made your point. You've humiliated us. Happy now? Happy? I laughed, and the sound was hollow even to my ears. No, not happy. But satisfied? Getting there. I clicked to the final slide. A simple text message from earlier that day. Can't wait to start our new life together. Just a few more weeks of pretending. New life? I asked them. How's that working out for you? Caitlin broke down completely. Mary and another neighbor helped her toward the house to pack a bag. Dorian slunk away, followed by disgusted stares and whispered accusations. As the sun set completely, neighbors began approaching me one by one. Some offered hugs, others just quiet words of support. Steve stayed by my side, solid as always. You okay? He asked when we were almost alone. I looked at the nearly empty whiskey bottle. No, but I will be. Want company tonight, after Emery's asleep? Thanks, but no. I gathered the divorce papers, straightening them carefully. I need to be alone in my house tonight. My house, my son, my life. I poured the last drop of whiskey into a glass. To new beginnings, I whispered, and drank. The aftermath unfolded like a slow-motion car crash. Caitlin stood in our bedroom, no, my bedroom now, stuffing clothes into a suitcase while Mary supervised silently. Where will you go? I asked from the doorway. Don't pretend you care, Caitlin snapped, but her voice cracked. I did care. For 8 years, I cared about nothing else. A commotion erupted downstairs. Jayla's voice carried up. You've got some nerve coming back here. We all rushed to the landing. Dorian stood in our foyer, looking desperate. I need to explain, he called up to Caitlin. We can fix this. Fix what? I descended the stairs slowly. The months of lies, the hotel receipts, the planned vacation to Cabo. He paled. How did you know about Cabo? Amazing what you can find when you actually start looking. I reached the bottom step. Did you know Caitlin's afraid of flying, but she was willing to get on a plane for you? Touching, really. Ishmael, Mary intervened. Let me handle this. You don't need... No, I do need this. I faced Dorian. You came into my home, drank my whiskey, played with my son, all while sleeping with my wife. We fell in love, he protested weakly. Love? I laughed. Is that what you call it? Because I call it cowardice. Real love doesn't hide. Real love doesn't need secret hotel rooms and garage quickies. Caitlin appeared beside me, suitcase in hand. Stop it, both of you. Why? I turned to her. Isn't this what you wanted, everything in the open? Not like this, she whispered. No? Then how about like this? I pulled out my phone. Remember that life insurance policy we took out last year? I called them today. Funny thing about infidelity clauses. Her face went white. You didn't. I did. Just like I called your boss about those business lunches you've been expensing, and Dorian's ex-wife about modifying their divorce settlement, given his pattern of behavior. You're destroying our lives, Dorian growled. No, you did that yourselves. I'm just making sure everyone knows exactly who you are. Neighbors had gathered on our lawn, watching through the open door. Steve stepped inside, positioning himself between Dorian and me. Time to go, he told Dorian firmly. This isn't over, Dorian threatened. Actually, it is. I held up another envelope. Restraining order for both of you. Stay away from me, stay away from Emery, stay away from this house. Mary took Caitlin's arm. Come on, honey, we'll figure something out. My son, Caitlin pleaded. I need to say goodbye. He'll be home soon, I cut her off. And he doesn't need to see this. We'll arrange visitation through the lawyers. As they left, the neighbors parted like a sea of judgment. Caitlin stopped at the door, turning back one last time. I did love you, she said softly. I know. That's what makes this worse. After they were gone, Steve helped me close up the house. The remnants of the BBQ still littered the backyard. Abandoned plates, half-empty cups, the projection screen still standing like a monument to destruction. You planned this perfectly, Steve remarked, helping me fold chairs. Had to. They took everything else from me. At least I got to choose how it ended. Headlights swept across the yard. Mary's car returning with Emery from the movies. I took a deep breath. Need help telling him? Steve asked. No. I squared my shoulders. Some things a father has to do alone. I walked inside to meet my son, leaving behind the wreckage of one life and stepping into the uncertainty of another. But at least now, finally, the truth was all that remained. The moving truck pulled away from Dorian's house, leaving only empty windows and a sold sign swaying in the breeze. I watched from my porch, sipping morning coffee as another chapter closed. Good riddance, Jayla said, joining me with her own mug. Have you heard where he's going? Some job in Seattle. Apparently his company was surprisingly understanding about his need for an immediate transfer. She caught my slight smile. You didn't. Let's just say his HR department received some interesting documentation about workplace relationships. The screen door creaked open behind us. Emery emerged, soccer ball under his arm. Dad, can we practice before school? Sure, buddy. Let me finish my coffee. As Emery set up cones in the yard, Jayla lowered her voice. How's he doing? Better. The counselor says he's adjusting well. Kids are resilient, you know? And Caitlin. I shrugged. Mary says she's staying with her sister in Phoenix. The divorce papers are signed. Clean break. Steve's car pulled into his driveway next door. He waved, then walked over carrying a familiar bottle. Found this in Dorian's recycling, he said, handing me my grandfather's empty whiskey bottle. Thought you might want it back. Actually, I stood up, taking the bottle inside. I returned with a hammer and held the bottle over our stone path. Emery, want to help Dad with something? He jogged over, eyes curious. Sometimes, I told him, we need to break things to let go of them. I handed him the hammer. Want to do the honors? His face lit up. What kid doesn't love controlled destruction? The bottle shattered satisfyingly, glinting in the morning sun. Feel better? Steve asked. Getting there. I ruffled Emery's hair. Go get your gear, kiddo. We've got some penalty kicks to practice. As Emery ran inside, Mary appeared at our fence. She'd been walking the neighborhood, her new morning routine since everything happened. The house looks different, she said, nodding toward Dorian's place. Empty usually does. Caitlin called last night, she told me. Asked about coming back, trying again. And I told her some bridges can't be rebuilt. Mary's eyes were firm. Some shouldn't be. I nodded, grateful for her unwavering support these past weeks. Ready, Dad? Emery called, now fully equipped with his soccer gear. Duty calls, I told my friends. They understood, dispersing with quiet goodbyes. As I helped Emery set up his shots, a real estate agent parked in front of Dorian's house. She looked nervous approaching me. Mr. Powell, about the house next door. Potential buyers are asking about the neighborhood. Tell them it's perfect, I said, watching Emery practice. Tell them it's a place where truth matters, where community means something. She smiled, relieved. Thank you. Later, after dropping Emery at school, I stood in my office. The divorce papers sat filed away, my grandfather's watch ticking steadily on my wrist. On my desk, a new bottle of whiskey waited, not aged 30 years, but bought yesterday. Fresh start, fresh traditions. My phone buzzed with a text from Steve. Poker tonight? Your deal. Wouldn't miss it, I replied. Through the window, I watched the real estate agent show the house next door to a young family. Their little girl ran excited circles in the yard while her parents smiled. New beginnings all around. I picked up the new whiskey bottle, reading its label. The best moments aren't the ones we inherit, but the ones we choose to create. My grandfather would have understood. Sometimes the greatest legacy isn't what we keep, but what we have the courage to let go. Setting the bottle down, I grabbed my keys. Time to move forward. Time to live.